Okay guys, so I know I'm not here today, so I'm going to try to help show you how to calculate the yearly savings doing your GPS versus VOR, because I know that's where we're running into a lot of trouble. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go ahead and do an example of my own. I have a really short route. It just goes from Dulles Airport to Raleigh-Durham. The GPS route, when I did the routing, was 194.6 nautical miles, and then when I did the VOR, it ended up being 205.6 nautical miles. So I didn't really save that many nautical miles, but we're still going to do a savings. And for mine, I used a different plane than you're going to use. Use the Embraer that's a Bombardier CRJ-1000. Here's a picture of it. Looks pretty. Okay, so moving on. The first thing I had to do was I had to look in that Wikipedia article for the fuel economy in aircraft, and to find my plane, the plane I'm using. You guys are going to be using either an A320 or a 737, depending on which class you are in. But mine's right there, and you'll notice that it is 3.33 liters per 100 kilometers. But notice that that is also per seat, and I want you to notice that my plane has 100 seats. Okay, so first thing I got to do is I got to get gallons. I got to get from liters to liters per 100 kilometers. I got to get to gallons per nautical mile. So first thing I have to do is get rid of that per seat thing. So I take the number of liters, and I multiply it by the 100 passengers that my plane held. Your plane is going to be different. And that, not too hard because it's times 100, gives me 333 liters for every 100 kilometers. But I want that in gallons per nautical mile. So I got to convert the liters to gallons and the kilometers to nautical miles. So liters, there is 3.79 liters per gallon. And I know the number is going to be smaller because gallons are bigger than liters. So I divide by 3.79. Same thing with kilometers. I divide by 1.85 because I know there's 1.85 kilometers in every nautical mile. And that gives me 88 gallons per 54 nautical miles. Okay, you can do that math yourself and check it out. Okay, then I want the units. I just want gallons per nautical mile. So I take the 88 divided by the 54, that should say, and I get 1.62 gallons for every nautical mile. So that's the first number you need to get, the gallons per nautical mile. Now that I have the gallons per nautical mile, I got to figure how many gallons I use on the trip. So for my GPS, I still have that 1.62 gallons for every nautical mile, but this time I went 194.6 nautical miles, so I multiply those together, and I found out that for my GPS routing, I used 315.3 gallons. For my VOR routing, I still have that same fuel efficiency number, 1.62 gallons per nautical mile, and I multiply that by 205.6 nautical miles because that's how many nautical miles the trip was. And I get 333.1 gallons. So obviously I use more gallons flying my VOR than I do flying my GPS. Great, now I know the gallons per trip, but now I got to get into money. Okay, so the thing I have to do is look up the fuel prices from both airports. So I have to look up, it's on AirNav. We were looking at this last class. I'm looking for fuel Jet A. That's what I'm looking for. At Dulles Airport, you can see at the top, it is $7.10. And at Raleigh-Durham Airport, it's $5.68. Now, there was some confusion from what I said. I said that was price per pound before. That's not correct. That is actually the price per gallon. So we have $7.10 per gallon at Dulles and $5.68 per gallon at Raleigh-Durham. Okay, so now we got to figure out costs. All right, so we need to figure out the daily costs because when I fly my flight, and the reason I had to look up both airports is because I'm going to fuel up at Dulles, fly to Raleigh, fuel up in Raleigh, and then come back. So I have to know what the price is going and what the price is coming back. So I need to add those up. So one trip there, one trip back every day. So if I want to go from Dulles to Raleigh-Durham, that means I have to buy my gas at Dulles. So I take my 315, I guess because this was GPS, that was my GPS distance, times the $7.10 that gas costs, and that costs in gas alone $2,238.63. When I want to come back from Raleigh-Durham to Dulles, now I have to buy my gas at Raleigh-Durham, so it's cheaper. So I still have the same distance. It's still going to be 315.3 nautical miles, but this time the gas is only going to cost $5.68. So that comes out to $1,790.91 for my gas to come back to Dulles. And my total cost for the day is I'm going to fly there and back every day. So my total cost is I have to add those up. And when I do, I get $4,029.54. Then I have to do the same thing for my VOR. Okay, when I take off at Dulles and go to Raleigh-Durham, that's going to cost, it's 33.1 nautical miles. Gas costs $7.10 at Dulles, so that's $2,365.01. Then I want to come back from Raleigh-Durham to Dulles. Same distance, is only 333.1 nautical miles. Only this time gas costs $5.68, so I got $1,892.01. Add those up to give me my total daily cost for VOR, and it comes out to $4,257.02. Okay, now that I got how much it costs every day for GPS and every day for VOR, I want to calculate my daily savings. How much do I save every day by flying GPS instead of VOR? So I just have to take those two prices and subtract them. So I take the VOR price, which is higher because it's longer, and I subtract from it the GPS price. That means every day my airline saves $227.48 on this one trip. Now, if I want to extrapolate that over the course of a year, I just got to take that number, because that's every day, times how many days there are in a year, which is obviously 365. And my final answer for this tiny trip is $83,030.20. And that's the number that you're going to put on the Sheets file, and then we'll add them up for everybody's route, and we'll find out our total savings for the whole airline. All right, good luck, and thanks.